we got the final trailer for Lord of the Rings: Ring of Power.
Yes.
I've already said I'm not very adept in the Lord of the Rings lore. I watched the original films, and that is literally it. And it's been probably about 10 years since I watched any of them. So if I get shit wrong, deal with it. What I will say is the show looks very interesting. It kind of, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, Hori. It looked like we kind of got to see like the heads of like the different races, like the elves and the dwarves and the humans. It looked like all of them having internal problems.
Yeah,
and
so...
like you can tell there's the brink of something rising up.
Well, this is the
you don't know what.
whole... It's set when they made the original 12 rings. Was it for... No, 12 rings and then one to rule them all.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we are going to see all the races. I think what's going to lead up to those rings being created as a way to... If I remember correctly, they were made as a way to share power across and unite like all the races into like a kind of connected
European Union.
sort of, yeah. And then they obviously then decided we'll make one extra to rule them all that's more powerful than all the rest. Obviously, we all know how that went. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of conflicts between races and the political like conflicts of what should be done to deal with issues and who's willing to be involved and who's not. And we're going to see that from the dwarves, elves, men, the hobbits. I think a lot of
hobbits like move into the Shire during the show, don't they?
Yeah, so this is them. As far as I'm aware, this is when they settle in the Shire. So they're like pretty new in built, like settling and setting up.
Which would be really cool to see the early days of the Shire.
Yeah, and like get some more insight into like just generally how the hobbits are as a race and how they stand in political things going on.
Yeah. I read like a really like I think it was Tumblr. And Tumblr always has really interesting to think about on it. They were like, imagine how terrifying a hobbit must be in Middle-earth. Because they keep to themselves, and the only real stories that anyone's heard of them is them killing foes that everyone else is terrified of. But they're just these really friendly, tiny little things. It's like, people must be convinced that these things are like immortal and crazy strong and dangerous, and thank God they're naturally friendly but never piss one off because of how like closed off they are. The tiny little stories of the stuff they've done outside of the Shire must genuinely make everyone else go, don't fuck with hobbits.
Literally, it's like people far away from the Shire are like, God, these like the only stories they hear are of hobbits that went on adventures and did wild stuff.
Yeah.
Anyone local or nearby enough that knows of the Shire has dealt with them.
You mean
like
them really friendly drunk people down the road?
Yeah, they just eat and party all the time. What are you on about? Like, they don't go on adventures. They don't even leave the Shire. And everyone's like, no, I heard one killed a dragon. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The thing I'm like most excited for, and I think I said it last time, like the last trailer, is like getting to see more of the dwarven races, because all we've seen of the dwarves is like the broken dwarven race.
Yeah. It'll be cool to see everyone in their heyday.
Yeah, and like how they are politically strong.
Yeah.
And
it's always really interesting in these really thought out fantasy worlds to see the political climate. Because like that was my thing I loved most about Star Wars Clone Wars TV show. Yeah, obviously they're characters I love and it's all really interesting. But in them, especially in the early series, seeing all like the political side of it was really interesting. It adds so much to the wider context. And I just can't wait to see it.
It just makes it like feel more real. So I'm looking forward to that. Visually, we've said this before, it looks amazing. For the people who have commented on our shorts about, but they've broken law. We saw one scene where the princess dwarf woman, who everyone complained about having no beard, is talking to one of the other dwarves, and it's like we still have only she's the only female dwarf we've seen. Like people that are getting pissed about she has no beard. At the end of the day, one, they could explain a reason why. Maybe she's doesn't actually live with the dwarves and she lives in a city of men, so she tries to fit in more. Two, there could be she could be one of the only dwarves that chooses to shave. Like they could give us a fucking ton of female dwarves that haven't shaved, and people are getting pissed because it's all they've seen.
But
People,
also, we are Star Wars and comic book fans here. Law getting broken is more common than anything else on planet Earth.
exactly.
You just deal with it. I'm a
It's-
comic book fan, and retcon is like the most common thing you deal with.
It's not even like
Get
a
over it.
huge law break. The only other
No.
huge, like big law break that people kind of complained about is Thorin, who's one of the Dwarven kings, was known as Thorin the Undying because his sons always looked identical to him, and there was only ever one Thorin in power at a time. So it kind of became like he was kind of jokingly became known as Thorin the Undying because everyone's like, oh well, he just reincarnates every time. It's the same guy. They're having a Thorin and he's got a son in the show. And my only thought is because of this time period that they're trying to span with the show, they're obviously condensing certain things, so they're making him have a son. Like it's not the end of the world.
Just because he has a son doesn't mean that the subjects know about the son.
Yeah, and it's like there's a lot. Like people are judging this show a lot before we've even really got anything about. Like it's gonna be so expansive that like it's hard to judge anything yet. But I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be great.
I cannot wait.